budget-friendly DIY bathrooms. We're going into detail in terms of how you can save money, so let's get right into it. Let's go. When it comes to renovating your bathroom, you want to get your lighting right, you want to get your wall color right, you want to get your floors right. So when it comes to the actual paint color, I want to go into that into some detail. Now, I think a great way for you guys to save some money is to go get a gallon of paint, which is typically for an advertised bathroom, let's say around 40 square feet, is going to be able to cover your walls. Now, if you go with a bathroom paint that's on the lighter side, you're going to have more bounce light throughout your bathroom. Something that I see very common is someone wants to put a really dark color in the bathroom. Nothing wrong with that. Just know that because dark colors absorb light. So if you go with a darker color paint, just know that you're either going to have to increase the size of your bulb or the light fixture that's on the wall, or you're just going to have to accept the fact that you're going to have a bathroom that's a little bit darker. Now, if you want to go with something that's going to be a little bit brighter, go with your whites, go with your very, very light colors. And something that I'm also going to recommend too is that when you're going with the lighter colors, make sure you don't go with something that is really vibrant, right? Sometimes you can have like a really light yellow, but the yellow is still a little bit too bright, too yellowy. Same thing with reds, especially like primary colors. But if you go with something that's on the lighter side, very, very faint, very light in terms of whites or white tones, slightly gray tones, not gray, but slight gray tones, slight hue differences here and there, you're gonna have a lot more bounce light in the bathroom, which I think is greatly gonna affect how you feel about the space. Another thing that you're gonna wanna consider as well, if you don't go with the paint option, or in addition to the paint option, is wallpaper. You guys know I love wallpaper. I will wallpaper your life if you give me the opportunity to, because of what it can do for the aesthetic of the bathroom. Wallpaper is great because wallpaper adds a sense of character where you could have a very mundane space. Now, you have floral patterns, they've got light patterns, they've got organic shapes, they've got abstract shapes. There's all kinds of different choices you can go with wallpaper. But what I do like about wallpaper is that it's also a way for you not to have to worry about painting the wall. You could literally just cover it in wallpaper. Now, there are options when it comes to wallpapering your bathroom in terms of do you wallpaper one wall, do you wallpaper the entire thing. I generally stick to wallpapering one wall. That wall is usually the wall behind the vanity. The reason why I go with it, two reasons. One, I'm trying to save money. And if I have a toilet and I have a vanity, I can sort of hide what's happening down below because I don't have to buy that much wallpaper to cover it. I can actually buy something that's a little bit shorter and maybe have some wainscoting or some trim that goes around it to hide what's happening down below. Another option as well is if you want to wallpaper the entire thing, just know that it's typically going to cost you a lot more money, whether you're going to be buying an expensive wallpaper or if you're going to buy a cheaper wallpaper, just because the cost per square foot of wallpaper is usually going to be a lot more than you can with a can of paint. But just know that with the wallpaper, you're going to get something that has a little bit more pizzazz. What I love about both of these options, whether you go with paint or you go with wallpaper, you can find them anywhere between $50 to $100, depending on like what option you go with. But if you go with more high-end wallpapers, just know it's going to get a lot more expensive. So the DIY option is going to be great for that. For this particular instance, let's say you go with something that's really budget friendly like paint, you're gonna be looking around $50 in order to get that done. Option number two we're gonna get into are the floors. Now, when it comes to renovating your bathroom, the three most important spaces, and this really applies across your whole house, you gotta get your walls right, you gotta get your floors right, you gotta get your lighting right? Because they're large surfaces and depending on how the light is, it's gonna affect how each one of those spaces feel. So when it comes to the floors specifically, a really great option for it is some paint that you can buy on Amazon, and we'll get a link to the description down below so you guys know where to find it. But this is a paint that you can apply directly over your tile. What I love about this option is you can decide what you want to do with it to pizzazz it or enhance it, zhuzh it a little bit more. So there are some options that they sell, for instance, a stencil that you can then buy after you've applied it across your floor and put the stencil down, and stencils come in all different kind of patterns. I think we've all seen a stencil before. And then you paint the stencil pattern on top of the tile. What I love about this option is it's a great way for you to make your floors look brand new all over again. No demo, no messy dust in the air, none of that stuff. All you do is you clean your floor up really nicely, you apply your paint down. Maybe you need 2 coats of it depending on the color of your tile and depending on what tile paint you want to go that goes on top of it. Then after everything's done, it's been cleaned up, now you put your stencil down, you paint it on there, and you have a completely new looking floor. Very DIY friendly, very, very inexpensive. Here's one that I absolutely love doing because you get a dope looking vanity when it's all said and done, and that's spray painting your vanity. Oh, but Jay, you can't spray paint a vanity. That's gonna look so bad. Absolutely, you can spray paint a vanity. I think what happens is people take what spray paint, let's call it laminate floors, any thought that you have of something that looked really shitty a long time ago and from like the 90s, and they want to apply it to how it looks today. That's not the case. Nowadays, they make all different kinds of paints. They make stuff that you can use on surfaces. They make stuff you can use on floors, on countertops, and they make it specifically in instances where you're going to be abusing those spaces, right? For instance, if you put your paint on the floor, like what I just mentioned before, some people are going to feel some kind of way about it, thinking that it's not going to last or it's not going to hold up very long, or after 6 months, it's going to look terrible. Not the case. Remember, they've changed a lot of the formulas that go into a lot of the products that they make because they know people are always looking for a budget-friendly way of doing renovations, and they also know that it needs to hold up over time. So this isn't the stuff that used to exist a long time ago. This is all new products that have all come out to help with a situation just like these. So used to renovate your bathroom or renovate your spaces are going to be really high quality products. Well, not all of them, but many are going to be high quality products. So you don't have to worry about the durability of it. At least one thing that you could do in case you are worried about it, you can always use it as a test. What's great about DIY is that it doesn't really cost you anything other than your time, right? Because you're only spending so much on the cost of the product itself. Even if it looks bad and you're gonna demo it anyway, spend $50 and go test it out before you hire the contractor to come in and cause dust all over your air and throw it around the room. So now when it comes to the vanity itself, spray painting is a really great option. There is something that's made from bare paints and you can get it at Home Depot, and it's a really solid adhesion to where you're using wood or you're using stone. I find that it works phenomenally. I've used it on metals. I've used it on so many different instances. And what it is a spray paint that you can spray on. And once you spray it on there, just make sure you tape off everything. So everything when it comes to a lot of these is about prep work. So you're gonna need to prep a lot of this before you get started. So when you pull out your vanity, hopefully you don't spray it inside, but let's assume that you do spray it inside just because you don't necessarily have the tools to take out all the faucets and replace all that. So we're going super DIY here. So leave it in place, prep everything. Paper, plastic, everything, right? It's gonna look like a crime scene when you're done with it because that's how you know you've set it up properly. Once everything has been taped off and covered up nicely, you get your spray paint, take off all your knobs, spray that thing down. Let's make sure you cover the countertops too because you don't want to get any backsplatter on all that stuff. So once you get everything taped off and you have all of it covered, find a really nice color that you like. Again, Behr makes a really awesome product that you can get at Home Depot. Even if you don't get Behr, there's a lot of other options that are also available at any big box store. Find the color that you really like, spray it on there, see how it looks. Make sure you give it time to dry because something that happens a lot of times, we spray it on or we paint something on and we're like, I don't like how it looks, but we forget that when it dries, it's actually going to look slightly different than when we first put it on. So make sure you give it plenty of time to dry, and after you see it all said and done, especially with a color that you really like, I'm telling you, you're going to absolutely love the way it looks. And the best part about it, you can get 2 cans of spray paint probably for like 15 bucks. Can't beat that. So the next one I want to get into for this is what you're gonna do with your handles. Now, let's assume you went with a paint color on your vanity that matched the color of your handle. Nothing's wrong with that, but I always think when it comes to renovations, the things that look best are when you have some contrast. So if you go with a dark vanity, now a lighter handle, maybe a brass, maybe a nickel, could be a wood handle, would be a nice contrast to the dark vanity that you got. And in reverse, if you have a white vanity, maybe a black handle or something in a different color that can now offset against that cabinet. So something that's gonna look really great is if you go on Amazon, find a handle that you really like. This is all personal preference. There's nothing special about one handle or next. Just remember, all it does is just open your cabinet so you can grab your toilet paper. It does absolutely nothing other than be a nice aesthetic for your cabinet. Find something that you really like that contrasts the color of your cabinet as well. These can be the next little phase that really elevates that vanity even more. And some people might think, well, I don't get it. I just spray paint the whole vanity. What's the point of changing the handles? Remember, we're talking about aesthetics. How do we make this thing look better than what it currently looks like? Not that it's gonna be some great change, but it's gonna be the detail that really enhances the look of it. Anything that you do in terms of renovations, where you do walls, floors, all of it, it's always gonna come down to the details. The details are what's gonna take it from looking average to looking good. From looking good to looking great, from looking great to looking exceptional. Always find ways that you can do details in anything that you do. The best part about it, you only got to spend about $10. Next one I want to get into are some fixtures that you're going to be changing, right? So now we've got our vanity looking phenomenal. We're going to want to make sure we have a phenomenal faucet that also matches all the beauty that we've now pumped into this vanity. So go out on Amazon, big box store, wherever you want to go get one, find yourself a faucet. Faucets you can find pretty inexpensively. I want to say that you can get a faucet for about $30, at least the one that I'm thinking of in my head, which I'm now going to put on the screen right here, and it's only $30. And that one itself is one that I've used on a number of flips. I've never had anyone complain about it. In fact, I've had people really like it because they like the way the pressure comes out of it, and they also like just the general aesthetic of this faucet. Super inexpensive, great option. Another thing as well is look to see what kind of shower head you have. Maybe you can swap that guy out of it. Also your trim plate. Now, some of you might be getting thinking like, man, this is a little bit much. I don't want to take off the handle for my shower. But honestly, if you look at it, if you look underneath, there's a little Allen key screw. Once you release that, you could actually look behind it and see what you have as far as the fixture itself. Sometimes on the trim plate, will tell you the brand that you have. If you have Moen, if you have Delta, you can find replacement parts for those on Amazon very, very easily. All you got to do is just type that name into Amazon search. I have a Moen shower head, or I have a Moen diverter. Now you can find something that matches it, or when I say matches it, means it's from the same make, or someone who does a copy that uses the valve, which is happening behind your wall, right? That diverter, what turns it on and turns it off. You can find something to replace it with, as long as you get one that matches what's happening on the diverter. So read the label on the trim itself and find something that matches that. Once you find that, you can find them pretty easily. I want to say maybe about $50. But as far as the overall fixture and what it's going to do for the look of the bathroom, changing out those fixtures, man, it's going to make it look incredible. So you're looking at about $50 when it comes to the shower head as well as the diverter, and then another $30 for the faucet. So you're all into it $80, and you really don't have to do much more than that. Next thing on the list, you guys are gonna wanna change out that crusty mirror that you got and it's been holding up inside your house for God knows how long, and you know it's ugly, and you know that you've been wanting to change it forever. I can even tell you what kind of mirror you have. You got that big square mirror. It's got a metal clip on the bottom. It's got 2 metal clips on the top, and they got rust stains on them, and it looks ugly. It looks damn ugly. But you know what? I'm here for you guys. And the best way that you can do to swap that mirror out is to go find you one on Amazon that's really cheap, but also is going to help enhance the look of your bathroom. Now, something that I want you to keep in mind, and because I want to make sure I say this as a caveat, it's going to look great once you take that mirror down and you put the new mirror up. However, you may have a little bit of patchwork to do once that mirror comes down. Because a lot of times, if you have a builder grade home, when you take that mirror down, they use glue to put that mirror up. So you're gonna take the mirror down, you're gonna have all these circles on your wall. You're gonna be like, oh my God, what do I do with this? Now, in order to patch those, again, we're gonna kind of segue here, because again, I'm trying to give you guys everything, so you know this is something that can actually be done. You're gonna get those circles, you're gonna get a scraper, you're gonna scrape those bad boys off of your wall, then you're gonna come back. I'm not saying you gotta compound it and smooth it, but if you were to do these things, it'll make your wall look better. However, if you guys remember, we talked about wallpaper. So let's say you have one of these mirrors and you don't want to go through patching the wall and then repainting it, because it can be some work. I'm going to be honest, it can be some work. Just know that your wallpaper option could be a great way to mask, hide all those circles that were once on the wall once you get them scraped off. So let's assume you have that option. You put wallpaper up after the circles have been scraped off, because again, it's glue, so you gotta essentially scrape that glue off your wall. Put the wallpaper up, now it's kind of gone-ish. Once it's gone-ish, you go get yourself a mirror on Amazon. You can find them for about 50 bucks. Pretty good prices. They vary in price depending on if you want a bigger one, a smaller one. But let's say you get like an average 25 by 40 mirror-ish. You're gonna be looking about 50 to 60 bucks to get one of those. But again, for some of the detail that it adds to really enhance that space even more, killer. It's gonna look so good. And the last one I want to get into is your shower curtain. Now, shower curtains are big because shower curtains are great for you to add some of that pizzazz back into your space. I'm gonna say this as another caveat. If you guys have been watching some of my other videos where I make fun of the designers that want to do a lot of different patterns on a lot of different textures. So if you go with the wallpaper option and it's got a cool pattern on it, you go with the floor and it's got a stencil on it. Now you go with the shower curtain and it's got a pattern on it. It's too much for your eyes, way too much for your eyes. The rule of thumb, in my opinion, is that you just want to stick to having one pattern that stands out, whether that's on the wall, it's on the floor, or on your shower. So if you go with a shower tile, let's say you painted it and you go with like a lighter option and you left it as is, cool. Now, let's say you go with the paint option for the wall. You just painted your wall, it's just one solid color. Cool. Now would be the time for you to go and pick a shower curtain that has a little bit more pizzazz to it. So that way you don't have this thing on the wall with wallpaper competing with this thing on the floor with floor tile and stencils. With this shower curtain, it would just be too much. So this would be the right time for you to find a shower curtain that now has that look to really help enhance it. If you do have wallpaper that has some pizzazz and some shine to it, maybe go with something really simple. Maybe a nice, beautiful white curtain, like a waffle pattern that has a really interesting texture on it when you're looking at it up close. It looks really great. I've used those in a number of houses, never had any complaints about it, and I do think it also helps because, again, light colors help light bounce around the room. So if you have a white curtain, especially in a room with some colors that might be a little bit dark, or you just don't have enough bounce light, this is going to help with exactly that. And the best part about this, you can find it for about $25 on Amazon. Okay guys, we went through a number of different things here, but now let's go through them in detail and see what number we come out with in the end. So I've been writing everything down as we go, so we could actually see where our budget is gonna land us for our budget-friendly DIY bathroom. So let's get started. For the first one, we have fresh coat of paint or wallpaper. Now, this can vary. So I'm going with a fresh coat of paint option. I'm looking at a 1 gallon can of paint. You may have to get a brush to go along with it. So we're looking at $50 for that one. Next, we have our paint with our stencil on it. We're looking at $30. After that, we have our spray paint for our vanity, which is $15. Then we're gonna replace our fixtures. We have our faucet at $30, and we also have our shower diverter, shower head combo, essentially for another $50. After that, we have our handles, which is gonna be $10. Then we're gonna replace our mirror for $50, and then we're gonna cap it off with our shower curtain for $25. And what we have here, start adding them up. $260. I think that's pretty good. Look, all things considered, you just did an entire bathroom for under $300. I mean, come on. Where else are you gonna be able to do a DIY of that proportion for $300? I think that's a phenomenal savings. Now, is this going to be easy? But can you do it? Absolutely. I think that when it comes to a lot of these DIY renovations, something that holds people back is, what if I mess it up? Or what if it goes wrong? What if I pick the wrong paint color? This is what's amazing about DIY. Even if you get it wrong, it's DIY. You're just gonna do it again. So if you pick the terrible paint color, buy another paint. If you pick the wrong color spray for your vanity, pick another spray paint. If you don't like the way your floors look, do it again. You can't really mess up because at the end of the day, you're gonna be the one that's taking care of it. So even if you do something and you don't like the way it turns out, you can always do it a second time. So that's one of the benefits when it comes to DIY versus going with the contractor. Because imagine you do all this and you hate it when a contractor does it, you're kind of stuck with it, right? Unless you decide to redo it again. But if you do all this and you hate it, well, at the end of the day, you did it. So you don't have everyone to blame except for yourself. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that one. If you guys are looking for more content just like this, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and turn on those bell notifications so you're the first one to find out when a new video drops. So until next time, catch you on the next video.